let's go to phase 2. Who here is in phase 2? Phase 2 is 50 to 100 clients. Cool. Good chunk of you. All right. So 50 to 100, you should be doing 15 to 30K per month. So top line is 30. These are rough numbers, right? But just to put a range to it, 15 to 30. Things that you need to do differently. Of course, you know, it's like anything else. All of phase 1, like phase 1 has to be nailed, what we talked about. And then additional things. At this stage, really important to make sure that your payroll, because at this stage you are very much, this is very much a team, like this is where you start to build out your team. Very, very important that you maintain 40% of your revenue at payroll and nothing more. 40. And that should include, because at this stage you are still active in your business, that should include your salary. So this does not include your profit if you take profit or if you take draws, but many of you should at this stage be an S Corp, and you should by law be taking a salary, what's considered manageable for your role, which for most of you probably talk to your accountant, but somewhere between 30 and 50K a year, just as a salary to cover you for your job, and then you take the profit that's left over. That salary for you, basically think about it as you're paying yourself to be the manager, right? And then you have a couple part-time coaches. Maybe at this stage you have a part-time admin. This stage can get very, in my opinion, the number one problem that happens at this stage is we don't increase marketing, of course. We'll talk about that next. But I would say bigger than that is our margins shrink. And we go from only netting, we go to only netting, 10, 20%. Meaning on a 20K month, you're only making 2K, which is not fun, right? So watch your payroll. Your payroll is your largest variable expense in this business. Your rent, your utilities, your softwares, those are largely fixed. Your expense that will continue to go up and up and up and up is your payroll. Yes, the others will have marginal, but your payroll can go from like 3K a month to 10K a month like that. And so just be very cautious. That's why I use the 40, 30, 30 model. So 40% of your gross revenue goes towards payroll. That's your budget number for how much you can pay people. So when you ask, like, can I hire or when should I hire? Yes, there's some operational questions that can go behind that. But my first thing is always going to be protect my margin. And I'm going to make sure that when I add a payroll, I'm still at that 40%. Okay, so that I would say is the biggest thing to tighten up. Now, the question becomes always, okay, cool. I know that, but I'm at 50%. We have a boardroom client right now that is approaching 60% of their revenue in payroll. And I'm working very hard, very diligent on a combination. And the two combination strategies, if you are in this bucket, which I know some people are, is expense cutting and sprinted growth. I wish there was a sexier answer than that, but it's not. So expense cut as much as you can, things that don't have an ROI, and then figure out, have a very clear target, just like knowing your numbers. We talked about that earlier. I would have a very clear target. Like for him, we have a very clear top line revenue of what we do need to be at without adding any more payroll. That's our target for revenue for this year to get us back down to 40%. Rather than just, okay, we need to grow. Yes, of course. But do we need to be at 25K, 30K? Like what is the number where 40% of that is what my payroll is today? And be very clear on that. Okay, so that's bottleneck number one. The second bottleneck that happens at this phase. So again, to quantify it, you're in that 50 to 100, you're trying to pass 100 people. You generally are gonna need about 8 sessions a day on your schedule-ish, maybe 10, but 8 to 10 on the schedule. And so I would make sure that you keep probably at least 2 of them at this stage on average, like 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week for you. And then you can payroll out the rest of it. But mistakes I see with scheduling and payroll here is I either off the floor too quickly and now my payroll's too high, or I got too many sessions on the schedule. So notice I didn't say you're training too much. You're training too much usually because you have too many sessions on the schedule. Like your pain point is you're training too much, but the solution is you have too many sessions on the schedule. So 6 to 7 led by coaches, 1 or 2 on average, 10 to 15 again as a ballpark led by you. And then this is the stage, so not earlier, but this is the stage, this is the phase where I believe you do need to install a true monthly marketing plan. So monthly marketing plan, what does that mean? That means that every month ahead of the month, so in our coaching programs, Project of 100 and Boardroom, we do it on the second or third week of the month previous. So like next week, I'll be doing July's marketing plan for them. And it's because it takes time to build that stuff out, right? You got to get your ads up and running. You got to get your stuff written, scheduled. You might have to, go make a connection somewhere, get something printed, whatever, right? Your monthly marketing plan it's not just doing what I would consider to be like the basics from phase 1. So basics in phase 1s would be your referral reach outs, your reactivation reach outs, your sending your email, hitting your list, right? At this stage, you are putting a healthy budget towards paid ads. Most people in this stage, in this phase, should be ideally, depending upon where you are, I know it's a wide range of 15 to 30, but ideally somewhere between 5 and 10% of your revenue should be going towards marketing. So if you're doing 20K a month, you should be spending 2K a month on marketing. And you will be able to do that if you factor in the margins and the other choices we've made, right? And that may look like $1,000 toward management and $1,000 toward spend, but it's still $2,000, right? So at this stage, I would like to see 50% roughly of your leads be generated from paid ads. 50% of your leads generated from paid ads. Sometimes we can get it to be a little bit higher, but if we're too high on that number, then that tells me that you're not doing anything else but ads, which is the opposite problem, still a problem. Because if all of a sudden we try something on ads and it doesn't work, now you're down leads. And so certain things are going to work more or less on ads, but they're always, at this stage, they're always running. The biggest thing I work with, and I don't run ads to be clear, I just see those that do and do well with it, what they do. At this stage, like I have a client right now, he's right around that 15K mark, and we're working on, he was and many of you probably do this, right? I know we used to do all the time. Run a campaign, shut things off. Run a campaign, shut things off. Run a campaign, shut things off. And we know that doesn't work anymore, right? So at this stage, we really want to work on just having a consistent marketing budget that we devote X number of dollars every month, no matter what, towards paid ads. So that's part of the marketing plan, is what those ads are and what you're doing there. The other part of the marketing plan is what you're doing for basically the manual labor, right? Because ads should be set it up and not forget it, but maybe somebody else is doing it, what have you. The other things would include your referrals, your reactivations. This is where I believe you will get more benefit from getting out into the community. For those of you that have seen like the fishbowl strategy that I talk about, the raffles, those start working more at this phase. And the reason is because you have now created this omnipresence within your community. So there's a term in marketing called direct response. And what that means is just like it sounds. It's one way, direct. Buy this thing, click this link, do this thing. Here's this promo, buy this today. That's direct response. Brick and mortar is not direct response. We try to make it direct response, meaning I send an email and I get a client. I do 5 emails, I get 5 clients. That's not how it works. How it works is if I'm in your town, so if I'm in Asheville, North Carolina, everywhere I go, I see Keith's stuff, everywhere. I go to the coffee shop, I see a fishbowl from him. I open up my phone, I scroll on Facebook, I see an ad from him. I open up my email, I check my email, there's an email from him. Everywhere I go, I just see his stuff. And then eventually I wake up one day and say, holy crap, I need to do something. Wait a minute, for the last like 6 months, I've been seeing this dude everywhere. I'm going to go to his website and fill out his form. Oh, wait, my kid's calling me. Oh, wait, my kid's crying. Put that down. 3 days later, Facebook ad. Now I fill out the form 3 days later. That's how brick and mortar marketing works. It does not work where I run an ad and get 10 clients. I send an email and get 5 clients. I send a reactivation campaign and get 1 client. At this phase, it is the omnipresence effect where I like using case studies because it's like social proof that selfishly it makes me feel better that this stuff works that I'm talking about. We have a client in Boardroom that stopped running Facebook ads and their local marketing became less effective. Their website traffic dropped. They just last month turned their Facebook ads back on, and what do you know? Their website traffic increased. Magic. We weren't driving to the website, we were driving to a lead form. But on a Facebook ad, I see your stuff, and then I'm sitting in line at Starbucks, and I see an ad, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Let me hop over to Google and Google you. And then I walk into the coffee shop, and I see your fishbowl. And I'm too lazy to fill it out, but then I go back and hop on Facebook and see another ad from you. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at this phase, is the omnipresence, right? So if we don't have that omnipresence, all of these strategies don't work. Because I think they work best when they're collectively working together, okay? So that's what's needed at this stage. So if you're only hiding behind the keyboard doing text and emails to your list, that will be probably fine for phase 1. That will not get you out of phase 2. We need to make sure we're running ads. We need to make sure we're getting out in the community. We need to make sure we're running a full marketing plan. All right. Last couple things in phase 2. Those are the 2 big ones, the staffing bottleneck and the marketing bottleneck. A couple systems that I would want you to have in place is session standards. I believe it's the only system you need for, no, I won't say only, but it's really the only at this phase system you need for coaching. And all session standards is what does a good session consist of? That's it. It's a 1-page document. What does a session look like? From start to finish, what does it need to do? What needs to happen? What are the touch points, etc. And my recommendation, again, you can have mine, is to build out acronyms. Because none of your team will remember a Google Doc of random bullets. But they will remember acronyms. For example, we use an acronym called the 5 Ps. We have making sure you're punctual, making sure you're present with the clients, making sure you're prepared for your session. All things you and I all already probably do ourselves in sessions. But by talking about it as common language with my team, I'm always talking about the 5 Ps. Many of you have, if you're working in a small group format, you have these lovely things called client notes. And you run into issues where some trainers don't update notes. Or some trainers update notes, but it's not enough or not enough context. So part of the session standard is what is your note framework? So we use a framework called PIG, which stands for Program, Injuries, and Goals. So some random trainer doesn't come in and be like, I didn't write note. Or I wrote this 16-paragraph note and now the next coach has to read it all. No, our framework for notes is PIG. That's the standard. So at this stage, the session becomes about delivering the standard. And I will try hard not to go on a soapbox here about standards. But at this phase, a major growth is we just don't have high enough standards. We let mediocre coaches continue to be mediocre coaches. And then we wonder why we have a mediocre business. And it's because you've brought on people that started up here and then their standards dropped and we never raised the standard. So I'm not trying to be mean to them. I want to lead them. I want to set the example, but we have standards. An example of a standard, a small one. In our gyms, you can wear black shorts or gray shorts, black yoga pants or gray yoga pants, and you have to wear a logo t-shirt. So on day 1, we have a new coach, this was about 2 weeks ago. Day 1, new coach. On day 1 of our onboarding is you get 5 t-shirts. We give you 5 t-shirts. I come in and he's wearing a college, his alma mater, something, I forget the school, but some random college, like their basketball t-shirt. I said, where's your uniform? Like, where's your shirt? Oh, I forgot about it. Well, that will be strike one. We do this a couple more times, and you're gone. You have to have those conversations. That is an example of a standard. The standard is to wear a t-shirt. It's right here. We went over it on day one. It's not negotiable. And many of you are, and I was there, like it does take some like growth in the sense of confidence, but there are people every day essentially, I don't want to say walking over you, but team members, a common problem we deal with at this stage is team members walking over the owners, not living up to standards, and it's simply because you just let it happen. So this entire stage on the coaching side is making sure your coaches are living up to standard. Our standard is on the floor 15 minutes before the session starts. So I think I'm pretty fun to work with. Maybe you might disagree with that because you only see me in this environment. But like, I would be on the gym floor 20 minutes before and I would stand there. The clock would be up on the wall and I would stand there and wait and see if they walked on the floor 15 minutes. And I'm not like shouting out in the middle of like, I'm not going to call them out on the floor, but like you have to pay attention. If that's the standard, you have to pay attention. Is it actually happening? I would secret shop my morning coaches. I would randomly, out of the blue, show up at 5:15 in the morning and walk in. They're supposed to be there at 5:15. Were they there at 5:15? Was the gym open? Or were they walking in at 5:27 for a 5:30 session? Like, I don't have to do that every day, but I have to make sure the standards are being met at this stage, because if the standards are not being met, we'll never get out of this stage. We'll never get out of it. Okay? So those are the big three here, phase two. You got your staffing to figure out, your payroll, your payroll percentages, making sure your margins are tight, your comprehensive marketing plan, and then your standards.